Good evening, class. My name is Brenda Lee Bridges. I'm a current student with Argosy University, pursuing my PhD in counseling psychology. First and foremost, thank you for joining me this evening. In tonight's discussions, there are two topics that I want to further discuss. The first topic is confronting self and hate. The second topic is creating a sustainable system of self-awareness and self-acceptance. But before we move on, I want to read a quote from Marcella 2008. And I quote this: "Willing or unwilling, the world has become the fabled global village. And the global village is multicultural, multinational, and multi-ethnic. The scale, the complexity, and the impact of these events, a formidable challenge for psychology, not only as a science, but as a profession as well. Remember that the American fabric is changing and is becoming more diverse. The foundation we lay, make ourselves create self-awareness, is important. Many people struggle with self-identification. Many reasons why, many challenges, but it is important that you identify with something in life. Remember, we're all cultural creatures. Whether it be the way we act, the way we dress, our language, our religious beliefs, our family structure, our way of thought, the way we process things. These are all contributing factors that make us cultural creatures. Let's take a minute and explore what it really means to confront self and hate. Think about it. Remember, it is important to identify with something in life in order to promote growth and self-acceptance. Change is important. It is critical and very crucial that we have and discuss certain topics. For example, racism. How do we discuss racism? How do we have those discussions? Many people steer away from those discussions. I personally do, for the simple fact that I don't want to offend anybody. I want to accept people for who they are, what they bring to the table, and I want to respect their life experiences. But these are topics that needs to happen, they need to occur. So many times we tiptoe around these topics that it's not conducive to promote growth, to promote change. So it's important to have these discussions and evolve with the diversity. Turning hate into compassion is a personal reward. Quite too often we are so brutal with ourselves. We hate the decisions that we've made. We don't like the way we did something in life. We don't like the way we took life on its path, the mistake that we've made. But there's two important questions that you need to be asking yourself. The first question is, why self-hate? The second question is, what can you do about it? Really think about those two questions. Let's explore it a little bit more in depth. Why self-hate? Most of the time it stems from childhood. For example, you have a mother or a father that constantly puts their child down, tells a child day in and day out, you will never amount to anything. I wish you were never born. You will never be successful in life. After a while, those comments is going to become this child's reality. Compassion is the antidote to self-hate. So let's discuss this. How can we create compassion for ourselves? I have a few recommendations. Let's discuss them. The first recommendation is talk to yourself as you would talk to anyone else that you respect or care or value in your life. You deserve that. Value yourself. You're number one. Self-acceptance. Recommendation number 2. Recognize that beliefs are not always the truth. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what somebody else thinks, doesn't necessarily make it truth. Third recommendation. Embrace the concept of good enough. We're all guilty of this. In life, We struggle. We put so much forth and effort in everything that we do. And we accomplish the things that we're supposed to. But we never, ever, ever think that it's good enough. We could have done better. We could have done this differently. Accept your accomplishments. Accept the fact that you gave it your best. Fourth recommendation, it's okay to make mistakes. As long as you learn from them and you make amends from it. We all make mistakes. Before I conclude the first part of this discussion, let me ask you this. But when I ask you these questions, really put these questions into perspective. Relate them to any life experiences that you've endured. Do you ever hate yourself? And if so, what have you done in the past to help you cope with this demon, this evilness that haunts your mind day in and day out? What tips, recommendations would you give someone else that's going through the same thing as you did once before? We've discussed part 1. Let's move forward and discuss part 2. Creating a sustainable system of self-awareness and self-acceptance. There's 4 steps: non-linear, process, and a life commitment. Let's talk about them. Step 1, recognition. Step 2, process. Step 3, comprehension. Step 4, implementation. Let's further discuss this in depth. Step 1. How will we approach this? What can we do to achieve this? There's multiple ways that this can be achieved, whether it be through group supervision, different exercises, individual counseling, group counseling. Recognition. When you approach this step, make sure that you discuss cultural identity. Make sure you discuss and explore messages received during childhood, an inheritance of prejudices, traumatic incidents, how these incidents affected you personally. Phase 2, process. This could be achieved by sharing your life experiences, the impact that it had on you, the effects that you endured. Remember to talk about reconciling prejudices and experiences. Talk about validation. Talk about acceptance. Remember to explore thoughts, guilt and shame, self-hatred, fear and pain. Step 3, comprehension. Integrating one life experiences, a sense of self, is the core. Acceptance of self and others is important. Acknowledgement of the effects of your story on self and others. Step 4, implementation. This is a lifelong commitment. Continual evaluation and processing of life experiences, bringing revelations and self-awareness is the key. An excerpt from Thomas 2006. Culture is one of the most influential determinants of identity. Intellectual growth is necessary process to adaptation to the world. Remember, your worldview counts, but so do theirs. Respect is the key. This concludes my discussion. I hope you enjoyed our discussion this evening, and I truly hope that you adopt any of the tools that I shared with you this evening and implement them into your own lives. And share these tools with your loved ones, with your co-workers, or anybody that comes into your lives. Share them, pass them along. Don't forget that the only person who can regulate your temperature is yourself. Remember, self-acceptance, self-awareness, respect, cultural diversity is important. Make sure you identify with something in life in order to promote growth. Thank you. and have a blessed day, and have a good night.